Welcome to Vermontitude, a collaborative effort between Great Eastern Radio, the Brattleboro Reformer, and BCTV to bring you the stories behind the stories on the topics you want to learn more about. Because there's always more, so there'll always be Vermontitude. Hosted by me, Peter Fish Case. Welcome to Vermontitude. New episodes drop every Tuesday and can be found by going to vermontitude.com, reformer.com, or BCTV. We come to you from our studios at the Innovation Box on Flat Street. I'm Peter Fish Case, and each week I cover the topics that are of concern to Windham County and the towns that reside within its borders. Today we are talking with Brattleboro Reformer reporter Chris Mays about a bunch of different topics. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the program.
Thanks. Good morning.
All right. Let's start out with this new thing that Cassandra Holloway is working on, which was formerly her organization. Because this is a new name, right? The Youth Council.
Yeah, it's currently building a positive community. It used to be Brattleboro Area Prevention Coalition.
Right.
And so the mission is largely the same, just the name has changed.
Okay. And now are they doing different things as a result with the mission change, or?
Well, I think they're always trying to be innovative, and this new project with the Youth Council is pretty innovative, and it really encourages kids to get involved in local issues. These kids were invited into a process to design the actual council, how it would work, how it would vote. They decided, I think it was in last August, how it would all work, and they'd require a 2/3 majority vote if they decide to do something. They started meeting, and they meet regularly at the Boys and Girls Club. They talk about what issues are important to them and what the changes they'd like to see. They just had a retreat 2 weekends ago. That's kind of where I was reporting about. And they decided that they were really going to dig into the issue of community safety, particularly in downtown Brattleboro.
Okay, so this has to do with like the whole Flat Street area. Is this like tying into the community safety review that had been done in the past? Is this kind of the same ilk, or is this something brand new?
This seems to be something brand new, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of the things that were discussed as a result of that project had some overlap with this new project.
Okay. All right. And you say they meet at the Boys and Girls Club on a regular basis.
That's right. Yeah.
Weekly basis. And this whole thing has kind of been undertaken by Cassandra Holloway.
Yeah, her and Diana Wally. They're the co-leaders of this council. But I talked with a bunch of the kids, and the kids said after they designed it, they got a lot of freedom as to what they could do with the council and what projects they'd be working on.
Okay, great. Let's move on to what's happening with our local food shelves, and I guess this is more of a national problem, and this has to do with sourcing issues.
Yeah, with the Vermont Food Bank, at least locally, that's the main issue here. They're having some sourcing issues with salvaged items, reclaimed items, and donated items, and they're starting to bounce back a little bit, but we're seeing it locally and at FoodWorks, and they've seen it locally with other food shelves and in Massachusetts, and the food bank is saying it's happening all over the place. In Brattleboro at FoodWorks, they're relying more on getting donated items from grocery stores, stuff that isn't going to be sold or used. They're leaning on that more now than they used to. Okay. And they're also accepting donations. So if people want to, help out, it's not totally dire, but it's noticeable the day before a shipment arrives. It looks like the place is pretty much wiped out. But when the shipment arrives, everything is good again. So we heard about it through a client there or a participant, and they said, hey, it looks like they're having some issues. So I started looking into things, and I saw some emails from the food bank, and then I learned about all this, and I looked it up online, and yeah, sure enough, it's happening all over the place.
Right. So this is a good time, though, for the community at large to kind of sort of step up. Now, is it a financial issue? Is that what they're looking for mostly? Do we know?
I think financial donation would be acceptable, but I think they were really talking about food.
Okay.
Yeah, and they are seeing increased need. I mean, it's obvious too because of everything that's going on with the economy and the hotel program.
Right. So this might be a good, an opportune time to do that. I mean, on August 17th, I'll be out by the Latches doing Load the Latches event. So that might be a really good time for you folks to drop by. For every $20 that we get that day, we will put a virtual bag of groceries in the seat that allows them to buy a little bit more. But if you want to bring some groceries by, this sounds like this kind of a thing will help, at least just for the short term.
Yeah.
So you'll be out there, right?
Yeah.
and
or
now
our
you will.
photographer.
Yeah. I'll be snapping pictures. So is there any movement in sight? Like, how does this end? And I think it's good that you guys kind of draw attention to it, right? To maybe get ahead of it a little bit.
That's what they said at FoodWorks. They were saying, at first they were a little hesitant, and then they're like, no, this is good to shine a light on.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make it overblown because the food bank really is working to get it back to where it was. Yeah. And there are efforts in sight that are making things better, and they're starting to get back to the level where they were.
Now, this question might be a slightly, I don't want to say above your pay grade, but it just might be a larger thing. Do we think like some of these shortages are becoming because like it's hard to get people to help? Is this a part of an employment issue that we've been seeing around?
It might have to do with that in one way or another. From what I understand, it's the sourcing the different items that come into the food bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Bernie Sanders, he was in town just recently.
Yes, he was here. He went to 3 different stops. I was at the one at the Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. Mm-hmm. And he announced this funding for it's called a federally qualified community health center. And there's one in Springfield, and they have a bunch of different sites, and they're basically branching out to the Brattleboro area. And there's all different types of health services that would be available to people who might not be part of the health insurance system. They might not have health care. They might not speak English. It's basically to get people health care.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's and is he hoping to bring that here, or is he just shining a light on it for this area to maybe bring it here?
This project got congressionally, the earmark funding from Senator Sanders.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's coming.
Yeah, it is coming. They said to keep an ear out, that they'll have more details soon, but that was the major announcement. Hey, it's coming. All
right. Very good. All right. So now there is, of course, and I can speak to it on my level as somebody who also works in an industry called radio, which is governed by the FCC, which means it's federally mandated. We can't sell cannabis. We can't promote cannabis. We can't do anything with cannabis. Newspapers and their websites fall under a different category. So you guys have kind of this is a Reformer project, correct? That I'm leaning into.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a cannabis newsletter. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's through our parent company, Vermont News and Media. So it will involve all 3 papers. Uh-huh. And we're partnering up with Craft State Media, these 2 guys who film videos and interview cannabis retailers and different people in the industry. And then we have 2 sponsors, 3 sponsors, 3 dispensaries, and they're going to, give us content and ideas and whatnot. And I interviewed them, and they all have had this issue with trying to advertise. They're very limited in what they can do.
I know. Right.
Yeah. So, they've noticed that with newspapers that they can, they have a little more leeway. And I've seen that firsthand. I went to cover a new store opening up, and I was like, I want to take photos of the cannabis. And one of the people working there said, "Oh no, you're not allowed to." And the owner said, "Oh, he can take photos of it, but we can't take photos and post it on our social media.
So bizarre.
Yeah. And so I was like, just from that experience alone, I was like, it's hard to promote, and hard to talk about yourselves with this. So, part of it is promoting these guys, these growers, these cultivators, and just digging into the industry itself. And
Okay.
And regular news too.
All right. So what else have you got to tease out there? What else you're working on here?
Chris Ratter and I, the photographer, we interviewed Billy Slade. She's been the director of the Girls Mountain. It's Green Mountain Girls Camp.
Okay.
In Dummerston.
Yeah.
She's retiring.
Oh.
Yeah. So we interviewed her about her years there, and she has such a long history, rich history with.
Yeah, she's been there a while, right?
She's been there, a little longer than I've been at the Reformer. I think like 10 or 11 years, and then, but she was a counselor and a camper back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah,
that's fun. Anything else you're working on?
Yeah, I also interviewed the general manager at Mount Snow. He's been there for a full year,
right? And
they just announced he's been promoted within Vail Resorts. He's going to be advising and consulting with the leadership teams at Attitash and Wildcat Mountains in New Hampshire.
Okay, all right, great. Chris, I appreciate you coming on Vermontitude. Did we get everything covered?
I think so, yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for jumping on with us and keeping us in the know.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.